Okay, so today we are talking about solving systems of equations using the elimination method. So we have a story problem here. This says the state fair is a popular field trip destination. So this year, the senior class at high school A and the senior class at high school B both planned trips there. High school A rented and filled 8 vans and 8 buses with 240 students. High School B rented and filled 4 vans and 1 bus with 54 students. Every van had the same number of students in it as did the buses. So we want to find the number of students in each van and each bus. So how many students can the vans and the buses hold respectively? So the first thing we need to do is come up with a couple equations to model this situation. So first thing I got to do is establish my variables. Those are my unknowns. So what don't we know here? Well, we don't know the number of students that fit in a van and the number of students that fit in a bus. That's what we're trying to figure out. So those are going to be my variables. So I'll say V is the number of students in a van, number of students in a van, and B respectively will be the number of students in a bus. All right. So now I have to find out what my equations are going to be. So if I know that 8 vans and 8 buses make 240 students, well, I can say that 8V, 8 times the number of students in a van, plus 8B equals 240. Right? That's what High School A did. They rented 8 vans and 8 buses and filled them with 240 students. High School B rented and filled 4 vans with 1 bus, or 4 vans and 1 bus with 54 students. So that would be 4V plus 1B is just B equals 54 students. So that is my system of equations. We have 8V plus 8B equals 240, and 4V plus B equals 54. So the elimination method for solving systems of equations involves eliminating one of the variables. When we have 2 variables in an equation, it's very difficult to solve for both of those variables. So we want to solve one at a time by eliminating the other one. So what we can do with equations is we can multiply equations by constants. As long as we multiply everything in that equation by the same number, it will not change the identity of that equation. So that becomes very useful in a sense that we can use that to cancel out one of these variables. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to take this second equation here, this 4V plus B equals 54, and I'm going to multiply that by a constant such that one of the variables will cancel out with the other equation. So I know that if I multiply 4V by negative 2, I will end up with negative 8V, and that will end up canceling out with this other equation's 8V. So I'm going to multiply this entire equation by the constant negative 2. And then I'm going to rewrite my system of equations with a new version of the second equation. So I'll rewrite the first one, 8V plus 8B equals 240. And so if I multiply everything in the second equation by negative 2, I end up with negative 8V plus negative 2B. I could just say minus 2B. Minus 2B equals 54 times negative 2 is negative 108. This is the exact same equation as this. It just looks a little bit different. We have not changed the identity of that equation, but we have made it easier to work with. So once we do that, we can actually set up one big addition problem and add both of these equations together since the variables in each of the equations are exactly the same. We can now treat them like terms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up one big addition problem here. I'm going to add both of these equations together. Well, 8V plus negative 8V equals 0, so that cancels out. That's what we want. 8b minus 2b gives me 6b, and 240 minus 108 gives me, let's see, 200 minus 100 is 140, minus 8 is 132. So now we have this equation with one variable that we can easily solve. So now I'm going to solve for b. It's a one-step equation, the inverse operation of 6 times b. We would divide by 6 to cancel that out, and we do that to the other side as well. And we end up with b equals, let's see, 132 divided by 6 is 22. b equals 22. Okay, so I've solved for one of my variables, and so the last step is fairly easy. We just have to pick one of our initial equations. It doesn't matter which one because the variables are the same in both, and solve for the other variable given what we know now. So I'm going to take this 4v plus b equals 54. That was our original equation. And I'm going to take this value for b, this 22, and substitute it in for b. So we have 4v plus 22 equals 54. And then from here, it's a simple two-step equation to isolate the variable here. So now I subtract 22 from both sides. 22's cancel out here. I'm left with 4v on the left side equals 54 minus 22 is 32. And so now I have 4v equals 32. I divide each side by 4. And I end up with v equals 8. And so now I have values for both of my variables. I have solved this system of equations. So I know that a bus holds 22 people, and a van holds 8 people. And that's how we use the elimination method to solve systems of linear equations. Thanks for watching.